It's morphin' time!
Pterodactyl.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. with Rangers of Wrestling, and today I'm bringing you a very special stream. It is National Power Rangers Day, so I just want to wish everybody a happy Power Rangers Day. And I'm going to be talking about Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, obviously, because it's the 28th anniversary of Mighty Morphin, and everything in between. But I'm not by myself. I am joined by a very special guest, a fellow Ranger of Wrestling. You guys may not know him, but he's an old friend of mine. Please welcome from MichaelChauTV, the host that runs the West Coast, Hollywood, Michael Chau.
I'm here. Yes. CM Punk. CM Punk. CM Punk. Am I on the right show?
You are. This is Rangers of Wrestling, so I do like wrestling and Power Rangers. That's why I brought you on, because you're a fellow Ranger of Wrestling. You like both wrestling and Power Rangers.
This is the Rangers one.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the
Mighty
Power
Morphin.
Rangers
Mighty
one.
Morphin. Mighty Morphin. Mighty Morphin.
Do you want to introduce yourself for the people that don't know you?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Hollywood Michael Chau. I run a YouTube channel called MichaelChauTV. I do a lot of videos based on pop culture. I'm gonna be doing pro wrestling soon, but I mainly do movie reviews, video game reviews, and TV show reviews. And I've been doing a lot of reaction videos as of late. So, yeah, stop on by. So.
Do you like our little overlay I created for us?
I loved it. You showed me a little bit yesterday, and I like this one even better. Wow. How do you
Thank
do
you.
it?
I stayed up all night working on it.
Well, it's better graphics than they did on Power Rangers back in the day, so I love it.
Yes. Okay. So let's start on the topic at hand. Obviously, you know, today's the 28th anniversary of Power Rangers, so we had to talk about the very first episode, which we all know is Day of the Dumpster.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you recall when you first watched Day of the Dumpster?
I do. I remember watching it when it very first aired because they were running advertisements about it, and I remember that there was really nothing like this show. They were like, "Hey, check out this." It had robots. It had colorful characters. It had martial arts
characters.
Absolutely. And I was all about martial arts back then. Which kid didn't love martial arts? So I watched it. And as a kid, I'm like, dude, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like, there was no other show like this for kids. Martial arts and all that stuff. Robots. It was so cool. So I do remember watching it. And in preparation for today's episode, I rewatched the pilot. And I got to tell you, as an adult, it doesn't stand up. But as a kid, they would love it. My nephew, who got into Power Rangers about a couple of years ago, he loves it. So as a kid, you'll love it. As an adult, not so much. But it's yeah.
Oh,
it's supposed to be for kids, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, this is Rangers of Wrestling. It's kind of like pro wrestling, at least WWE. It's supposed to be for kids, and it reflects. Trust me.
Yes, definitely. Well, first of all, Mike, I have to say, showing your age, because I wasn't even around. Actually, I was around, but I was just a few months old when the Day of the Dumpster first aired. And I don't remember seeing it as a kid, but I do remember seeing it as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you're right. There's nothing like it. There still isn't anything else like it on TV, even now, 28 years later.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that kind of takes elements from Power Rangers. I think since then, they try to do other stuff. I mean, there was VR Troopers, there was Beetleborg, there was Common Knight Rider, and so much more stuff. And it's incredible. We're celebrating, what'd you say, 28 years?
28 years of Power Rangers, yes.
Yeah. They just recently tried to bring it back with a live action movie, which I don't think is moving forward anymore. But it's crazy, the cultural impact that this show has, and a lot of people are still talking about it. There's a freaking convention, Morphicon,
which I've gone to. And
yeah,
we'll
I've
be
seen
going
it
to next year.
Yeah, so it's incredible. They seem to be doing team ups every single year, and this show is like one of the longest running shows. Like, I always thought as a kid, I'm thinking Simpsons, WWE, and Power Rangers is one of the most longest running shows from my childhood. So it's crazy. The show is still going on.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, you know, a lot of people some people don't know, but like, you know, there was an original pilot episode where the actress who played Trini was played by Audrey Duwas. Have you seen that pilot episode?
I know what you're talking about. The name of the character was Trini Crystal from Trini Kwan.
Yeah.
So yeah, all of the original cast members were the main ones except for Trini, which I think they made the right call, right? I think one thing that I love about this show is like it represents a whole broad full of people, right? Caucasian, African American,
Asian.
Yeah, absolutely, Hispanic. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree. But you know something? Now, let me ask you something. As a kid, when you're watching Power Rangers, we all know Power Rangers is borrows footage from Super Sentai. When you were a kid, did you ever stop to notice all the like the Japanese writing and all like the people running around, like all the people running away, they all have black hair, and you're like, did you ever like notice that as a kid, or did you notice that when you were older?
I didn't know. This is a true story. I didn't know until I was an adult that it was actually based off the Japanese show, and that they reused almost like, honestly. So when they don't have the helmet off, everything you see is from the Japanese part.
Yeah.
And you know, I watched the pilot yesterday. They sync up like the mouths with the audio for Rita and all of the reused footage. So good. Like, I could really not tell that Rita was actually a Japanese actress that they were basically dubbing in the audio. They did such a good job dubbing in, you know, and trying to reuse the footage.
Yeah, they did. But you know something, like it's crazy because like as a kid you don't notice these things. It's not until you're older and you go back and you rewatch this, you realize, holy cow, like I didn't know watching this and I didn't recognize the Japanese writing. And it's funny because about 11 years ago, I actually started watching Power Rangers. Like I made it my goal to watch every season of Power Rangers.
Wow.
Yeah. It took me about 11 years to get to Lost Galaxy. That should tell you something.
Now, I mean, did you watch the remastered versions of the original?
I did not watch the remastered version of the original. Don't even bring that up.
I won't.
Dare you bring that up?
It's actually on
my channel.
So
Kick you off my channel if you bring it up.
I won't. But it's actually on Netflix. The craziest thing is they actually have it as a separate season on Netflix, which I thought was crazy. So yeah.
Yeah. But you know, as a kid, I didn't notice the Japanese writing. It wasn't until I got older and I started watching every episode of Mighty Morphin that I did notice the Japanese writing, the Japanese influence, right? So of course, we all know that in Mighty Morphin, we did have the Green with Evil Ranger saga.
Ooh, so good.
Yes. So what did you think about the evil Green Ranger?
I thought he became my new favorite. Like I mean, not to jump the gun, my favorite has always been Red Ranger Jason. But when I saw the Green Ranger, it was so cool. And he had a dragon. These other guys had dinosaurs. This guy had a dragon. He had a flute. And then I think he had a second Zord, right? There was like a long neck, right?
Sometimes the Red Dragon? You talking about the Red Dragon?
No, okay, so he had the Dragon Zord, but he also had another one. It was like a long neck dinosaur that he would sometimes ride like a horse. I don't know, right?
What?
No, okay.
What are you talking about?
I'll tweet you later. I'm sorry. I'm totally blanking on this, but I remember the Green Ranger had two Zords. I remember he had two Zords. I can't remember what the other one was.
You only had the Dragon Zord.
There was another. I swear there was another one, and I remember the Dragon Zord could actually combine with another Zord. But I'll tweet you later. I swear.
Okay.
I'll tweet you later. I'm totally blanking on it, but yeah.
I don't blame you. It's like 9:27 in the morning where we're at.
I know, and it was so long ago.
Yeah, but anywho, did you? Okay, so you know it's 5 parts. It's the Out of Control, Jason's Battle, the Rescue, Eclipsing the Megazord, and of course Breaking the Spell. Out of those 5 parts, which would you say is your favorite?
The first one, just the introduction of the. Was it that one?
Yeah,
I mean, I have it. Yeah, then Out of Control it is.
You think I don't know my episodes?
No, you know your episodes, but on Netflix it has a different title. I think on Netflix, what is it? It's called Green with Evil Part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. They don't have the titles you're talking about.
Yeah,
but, give it to Netflix for messing up. But anyways, yeah, that was my favorite one because it gives a good introduction. This episode's so good. It's so ingenious. Rita says, I keep getting my butt kicked by these stupid, Rangers. Why don't I just create my own one? So she uses her power, creates her own evil ranger, recruits Tommy, brainwashes him. And
she recruited more like she kidnaps him.
Yeah, she kidnaps him. I love Tommy's dramatic yell. Like he goes, no. I'm like, why don't you just move or run away or something? I love it. He goes, all is lost. I'm just gonna scream. The dramatic cheesy acting. But I love everything he does. He goes to the main headquarters. He puts a hacker CD in Alpha 5, turns him down, and then he literally lays waste to Zordon. thrashes everything, destroys. Zordon's gone. It's a smart plan. Without Zordon, they're in big trouble. And then my most favorite part. So after the Power Rangers are done fighting Goldar, he jumps in. And I always thought it was so funny. As an adult, I laughed my ass off. I'm like, they should really lock that door. Because he goes through the door, he beats him up, he throws him out of the Zords, and it's just incredible. I love it. He beats up everyone. And I remember the episode ending with Tommy basically saying, it's the end of the Red Ranger and this evil, maniac laugh. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. Still holds up till today. One of my favorite episodes. Might be my favorite.
Okay, so let me see. The people of the chat, Thomas Franco says the Green Dragon Zord could combine with the Triceratops Master and Saber-tooth Tiger to form the Dragon Zord and battle mode. Oh, that's not what you were talking about.
That was.
I knew he didn't have two Zords. I was like, I've seen Mighty Morphin plenty of times. I saw all 155 episodes. So to give me that. Yeah. So, anywho, my favorite part of the Green with Evil Saga channel. CR21 asking if you had a channel. I said that yes, you do. My favorite part of the Green with Evil Saga is actually part 4, eclipsing the Megazord, because it was the first time. I'm gonna use wrestling terms here. It was a 3-on-1 handicap. It was originally a 2-on-1 handicap match. It was Gordar and Scorpina versus the. Yes, I like Power Rangers. Hence my channel, Rangers of Wrestling.
We're gonna be referring, making lots of WWE references. Yeah, trust me. I'm looking at my notes. There's a lot of references to wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So it was a 2-on-1 handicap match with Gordar and Scorpina versus the Megazord. And then it becomes a 3-on-1 handicap match when the Green Ranger joins in. And this was really the first time in the series up until this point where the Rangers actually get their butts kicked. Their Zords got knocked down. They power down. So that's why that episode, Eclipsing the Megazord, is my favorite part in the Green with Evil Saga.
Definitely. I guess you could say the Power Rangers got buried. Because, man, he laid wasted to him. It was an absolute thrashing. This was so good.
Yes,
so
definitely.
Good.
It was a beatdown.
It was a beatdown. I mean, I've never seen like one person literally lay waste to everyone. And it's iconic to see him get into the Zord, open the door, and throw him out. It was just great. It was the best evil plan I've ever seen. Good job to Rita. She doesn't get enough credit, but one of Rita's best plans she's ever had.
So, of course, as you know, as Power Rangers progress, we did, unfortunately, Jason, Sack, and Trini left Power Rangers. Of course, there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that caused their departure. But what were your thoughts? What was your first thoughts originally when you saw Jason, Sack, and Trini leave? Like, as a kid, did you realize that the actors weren't actually there? That they were using recycled footage? What were your thoughts on that?
So I actually have behind the scenes research on this after I talk about this. And it's crazy to learn the behind the scenes. So when I first heard about this, once again, I was just a little kid. I'm a 90s kid. This was really early show. Exactly. So I didn't know what was going on. And the thing about this is Power Rangers is known for switching out the cast almost every single time when the show. Yeah, definitely. They make it like a recurring thing. So when I saw that, I'm like, well, this is just something that they did, right? They got rid of half of the cast, and that's just something that they did. And then as a kid, I didn't know through clever editing and all that stuff that they were not there. It's crazy. But I got a backstory on this if you want to hear about it.
Yeah, definitely. So hold on, before you tell your backstory. So I know you dabbled a bit in background acting a couple of years ago, right? When we first met, I think that's what you were doing. So do you want to because from my understanding, they left over a salary dispute. I've always said Haim Saban was the Vince McMahon of Power Rangers. Again, if you're watching this, you don't know who Vince McMahon is. He's the chairman and owner of the WWE, but that's a different story. And because they left over. I mean, how would you feel? The show you're working on is making millions of dollars. The owner's raking in all this dough, and you're only getting paid peanuts.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you're working in very dangerous conditions because they had them work with explosives. The show was non-union; they didn't have any rights. So
that's right.
Of course, they wanted to stand up for themselves. So, what's the interesting story that you had?
Okay, so I'm referring to a lot of things. So yeah, I am an actor. There's a lot of stuff I'm gonna be referring to, and honestly, a lot of this deals with pro wrestling as well. Like they're very no. Honestly, what went down is very similar to what's going on in pro wrestling right now because
Yeah.
pro wrestling is not unionized,
Yeah,
and they want to, but it's not.
before you continue, I would like to remind the viewers watching that this is Rangers of Wrestling. We do like wrestling and Power Rangers. So if you don't get the references, please forgive us. But again, wrestling, So go ahead.
And by the way, I'm looking at the chat. Big shout out to Thomas Franco. There is a happy ending for the characters of Zach, Trini, and Jason, but I'll get to that in a bit. So for those of you who don't know, and it was just really interesting researching the topic of what went down. So basically, as an actor, right, there's this thing called the SAG, SAG
skilled
card, right?
Skilled Actors Screen Awards. Yeah, I'm Screen Actors Guilds.
Yeah, you live in LA. You should know about this. It's a big part.
What are you talking about? I live in Angel Grove.
Yeah, absolutely. No, okay, never mind. You do not. So sorry. So it's a very interesting story, and that's going to play a big part. So as you mentioned, this show was not unionized, and basically, when you're not with a union, it gives you a lot of protection. Being a part of a union production gives you health benefits. If you get injured on set, being part of the union also gives you a minimum wage of money that you'll be making, certain money that you should be making. And you refer to it, they were making peanuts. And I have the actual numbers. So, Datila, if you didn't know, could you believe that the cast of Power Rangers were getting paid $200 a day, $600 a week? That's not a lot.
But when you're first starting out and it's still like your first big project, you're like, oh yeah, I'm making 800. Mm-hmm. But as the show's making money and you're still making that, no, come on now.
So it gets worse. Because not only were they getting paid very underpaid, like pro wrestlers are, they were not getting paid for merchandise. The toys for Power Rangers were unbelievable, but none of that made it into any of the actors' pockets. The toys take their face. Their face is on the merch. It's on the promotion, right?
And their voice, right?
Yes, their voice. And they were getting paid nothing for it. So it's crazy. There was also, so here's a very important part. So they were also not getting paid for syndication. So
that's what I was about to ask. So you're saying till this day, the actors, even though they're Mighty Morphin or like all these reruns, they're not getting paid for syndication?
They're not getting paid then. They're not getting paid now because too much time has actually passed. I don't know if Power Rangers is unionized today, which they could be because they're on a different network. They're on Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon could step in and say we want to unionize this, but in the end, it is up to Hasbro if they want to do it. It's up to the company on whether or not they want to do it, and the company's always gotten flack. Saban, the old production company, was always kind of controversial in the fact that this wasn't unionized, and on top of that,
it became union. I think it was starting to become union around In Space, and it was in union from Lost Galaxy to Wild Force, and then when they sold it to Disney, it became non-union again.
Yeah, so once again, it's up to the production. I think it was during a time where Dish Saban was just getting way too much flack. They had to do it. And on top of that, these actors getting underpaid, no health benefits, no overtime pay. So they could be working like 10-hour days. They don't get any money from merchandise. Yeah. They don't get money for syndication. And this is the longest running Power Rangers season. There are a lot of episodes. Most of the casts are like in the most episodes in the whole series. And they don't get a dime from these reruns. And that's a lot. Like, I know actors who live off syndication royalties. Like it gets you a lot of money. And what else here? So
what I was gonna say was like from what I've read, because I've seen a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I think the actors said they were working from like 5 a.m. to about 6 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And I know that David Yost, who played Billy Cranston, the Blue Ranger, and Amy Jo Johnson, who played Kimberly Ann Hart, the Pink Ranger, they were almost caught on fire during one early episode of season 1. Mm-hmm. And, the late Twee Trang injured herself and she had to work injured, believe. But they tried to work around that.
I know the actress who portrayed the Pink Ranger, Amy Jo Johnson, she actually said, unsafety, safety concerns is the reason why she left. A lot of people think she's gone on to do other acting things, but she mainly cited that, safety reasons. It's not safe. And I heard she got injured on Power Rangers Turbo. So it's not safe. And also another thing, most, if not all of the actors did their own martial arts. They did all of their own stunts. Like when you see Jason and Kimberly doing flips, that's actually them doing it. No wire work. So it's like you're working your butt off and you're really not getting paid. But okay, so basically these actors basically said this is BS, right? I think them not getting paid for the toys was the final straw. So Jason, Zach, and Trini actually came together and basically said, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. We're going to go on strike. Now, it wasn't a general consensus among the group. It's if someone had gone to, if I was on a TV show, the other actors went to me and say, hey.
Can I swerve a little bit off topic? I think the Friends cast was a good example of them coming together and being like a group. Well, I know in Power Rangers, it was the three of them versus the other three. They weren't, a team. Yeah. Unfortunately. Because think about it, how different would things have been if all of the cast got together and were like, no, we're not going to continue until you pay us fairly. Because especially, I know Tommy, Jason David Frank, was one of the most popular characters. I don't think Haim Saban would have risked losing him.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But so that's a very good example, by the way. And Friends, they did do that. The show was very popular, but it was during the run of the show. This was still during season 1. And in my honest opinion, this is just my honest opinion. If all of them had striked, I think, honestly, they would have just done some editing where they would have just said, oh, the Rangers, they just left. And here are these new Rangers. It's crazy. But the reason why Jason, Zach, and Trini were very replaceable is because they just said, well, we got half of the cast, right? We'll just keep them.
Thomas Franco with JDF is the CM Punk of Power Rangers.
Okay, that's pretty good. But Thomas, honestly, Jason David Frank has come back a lot. So
actually, did you know Jason David Frank called out CM Punk and CM Punk didn't even acknowledge him?
Yeah, not to go off topic, but Jason David Frank has called out CM Punk. He's even called out Austin St. John to step in an MMA cage, and they didn't want to do it. Because, I mean, if you've seen the tats, I'm not going to step in. This guy is in incredible shape. He's aged the best out of all the Rangers, but yeah. But anyway, to finish off this, so basically Jason, Trini, Zach, they end up going on strike. They refuse to film any more scenes. So guess what? They did some clever editing.
Rose Montana says, hi, Michael.
Hello. What's going on? So, what was it? I wrote it down here. Opposites Attract is the very last episode of season, I believe 2 or 1. Yeah, 2. Season 2. It was perfect. 2. It was the very last one that had all of the main cast. After that, so this is the part where it gets interesting. For 8 episodes until they finally on screen write off their characters in the Power Transfer Part 2. This is what they did, Datila. So with clever editing, they used reused footage. They use body doubles. So every once in a while, they would show Zach, Trini, and Jason only from behind or from very far away. So you would think it's them. As a kid, I thought it was them. It was crazy. What else here? They would show them in silhouette. So the episode where they explain their characters are leaving for the peace conference, which I was always confused.
The power transfer?
Yeah, I always thought Billy was the smartest. So even as a kid, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense how they're writing out their character. Billy's the smartest. Why would they not take Billy for this storyline? But and the characters were always off camera. So Zordon would be like, well, I'll go ahead and contact the other Rangers. They're somewhere else, but I'll teleport them to battle, and they already have their helmets on. Yeah. And there was a very noticeable, even as a kid, I noticed the audio on the characters when they're in their Power Ranger suits were very noticeably different. It didn't
Yeah.
sound like them at all.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny because like when Kimberly left in season 3, she just hands the power coin over to Catherine. But
Mhm.
yet Jason Second Trini had to go on this whole mission, get some Zord. And if you notice, they don't even power down when they're in the suits. They just leave. But again, it's
Yeah.
because the actors weren't actually there and they used those clever tricks
Mm.
to, mask the actors not being there.
Yeah, it's crazy. The rest of the
Right.
it's the rest of the cast has said since then that they were all basically teens. I mean,
Yeah.
Jason was actually the youngest out of the cast, which is
Yeah.
mind blowing. He was actually
Yeah.
still in high school when he did this show,
Yeah.
and
Rose Montana says he remembers that.
yeah, definitely. And it's all the other cast members, including Tommy, Kimberly, and Billy, they all said that they were too young to realize this whole thing that was going on. And they said if
Yeah.
they realized this whole thing about unionizing and how they were, they should have been given more money or at least more rights and stuff, that they also would have joined along. Like they didn't know any better. You know what?
Yeah.
A lot of these, if not the entire cast, this was their first TV like acting
Yeah.
role. If I was on a show, if I was on Power Rangers and I was making this amount of money, because it is a little bit, as a kid, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, someone said, hey, we're going to go on strike. We're not going to be, if you go on strike, you're basically not going to be making any more money. And we're going to try and do this. I'm going to be like, I respect your decision, but dude, I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
I need this money. I'm sorry, guys. I can't do this.
Thomas Franco says, are we going to watch Blake Foster, which was Justin Stewart, the Blue Turbo Ranger, versus Michael Lashley fight in September? Michael Lashley, I believe, played young Rocky De Santos in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3.
Wow, they're actually going to fight?
Yeah.
They should
I
do
might
this.
check it out. I might check it out.
Oh my god! Hey, you know what? We live in a world where you two fighters are fighting people, so it's like.
All right. So one other big thing we have to talk about. It's the one question, and probably the one debate that every Power Ranger has to go through. I think I already know your answer, but I still want to hear your reasoning. Tommy or Jason? What about you guys in the chat? Tommy or Jason? I already know what Rose Montana's gonna pick, but what about you?
I think we should say on the count of 3. You have one, right?
Yes.
Let's say it on the count of 3. Yeah. Okay. Go.
1.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
3. Jason.
Jason. Yeah. I mean, I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing a red shirt.
Jason. I picked Jason.
Yeah. Tommy's really good though. I really like.
See, you already know. Yeah. Rose Montana likes the green. He likes Tommy. That's his boy.
Of course, he's wearing the red NWO for life. Of course. Red Ranger, Jason for life.
He says he knows mine too. Yes, he knows I like Jason. If you watch he watched my watch along of the 25th of the team up, so he knows. There's a joke about that. Tommy is the goat. He's been more Power Rangers than Jason, but that does Thomas Franco. Yes, that's true, but that doesn't excuse. To be honest, and I might get people wanting to throw stuff at me for saying this. I honestly think Jason was a far better leader than Tommy was. At least through Zeo and Turbo, I felt like Tommy wasn't that great of a leader. In Dino Thunder, however, though, he's better in Dino Thunder than. But it's just to me, I think Jason's a better leader. And that's just not me being biased. Rose, if you want to throw something at me, feel free to throw something at me.
I will say this. I totally agree with what you say. It's based on opinion, right? And the chat room's going to attack us. Jason is my favorite. That's my personal opinion. But I truly believe. No. The thing is,
no, Rose's getting.
I will say this though. Opinion aside, because Jason is my favorite. Tommy is the best. He will go down as the best Ranger of all time. No doubt in my mind. Tommy will go down as the best Ranger of all time.
Tommy, green, white, Zeo Red, Red Turbo, or Black Dino Thunder?
I don't know.
For those of you who don't know, that he did come back as a Black Dino Thunder.
So this is my opinion. Green will always be my favorite because I just love dragons and I love the fact he had a shield and I love the flutes. Oh my gosh, Green will. Yes, so evil Green Ranger is my favorite.
Rose with the tomatoes.
Boo! Boo!
I have to pick. I have 2 versions of Tommy. Obviously, Green Ranger and Black Dino Thunder Ranger.
That's when he was a teacher, right? He was like a professor? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That was a good season. I like that season. That was
good. Definitely. For the people in the back who don't know, there's more seasons of Power Rangers.
28, right?
28.
Oh
Jason
my
made a
goodness.
cameo in the Turbo movie. Wasn't even the Gold Ranger anymore since he would gave the powers to Trey. Yes, we know that.
That was that was a good one. That was a good one. And I love
Rose
okay, so
Montana says Green was my favorite, but I think Black was his best because he was the OG.
I loved Zach. I love how he mixed dance with martial arts. It was really good. And I don't know if he knew
Hip hop keto.
oh goodness. They made light of that. They made a dark, and I think you and I talked about this the other day. They made like a dark fan-made film of Power Rangers, and man, that one is crazy. If people in the chat, if you haven't seen the fan-made trailer for the gritty dark Power Rangers, it had who was in it? It had the guy from Dawson's Creek as Rocky, and it was really
James Vanderbeek.
Yeah, James Vanderbeek. He played a good Rocky. He was such an evil guy. Go and watch it. If you haven't watched it on YouTube, just put Power Rangers Dark fan film. It is crazy. And they would never ever release that. I saw the uncensored version, and it's really out of control.
Oh, Rosie Montana says hello, keto. Not that type of keto. It was kiddo, like KIDDO. My bad.
Hip hop keto.
I just call it hip hop keto. But that's how Zach pronounced it. Rosie Montana said he saw it years ago, and he said that it was good.
It's what the adults want. If they ever made it, which they would never make it, because if you saw the uncensored version, man, it is bloody. It had adult content. It's a very interesting idea. I really like it, but it's not for kids. You know your audience.
It's called Power/Rangers.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's it. Yeah,
It's a tie between Zeo Ranger versus MPR White Indian as my favorite forms. Tommy Power Rangers. Okay, cool.
Really
All right,
good.
so. Next, what we're going to talk about is, Twee Trang. Unfortunately, you do know she did pass away. The 20th anniversary is on September 3rd. She died before Power Rangers even turned 10. So she didn't get a chance to see her legacy and what she left behind, I believe she had 4 center episodes around her. It was No Clowning Around, High Five, For Whom the Bell Trolls, and my favorite, Plague of the Mantis. And it's a shame that she really didn't get much more of a spotlight. I know there was other episodes where she was in a spotlight, but she shared it with Kimberly or with a different Ranger. But I think those 4 is where it's all about her. Mm-hmm. Not to quote Tennille Dashwood.
Yeah. I feel like honestly Trini was the core member of the team because she was just a very good all-around character. You have Jason who's the leader. He was kind of like the buff guy. You had Zach who was kind of like the hip hop guy. You had Kimberly who was kind of the typical valley girl. You had Tommy. People always became him as the evil one, and Billy was the smart one, right? I feel like Trini was the really the core member of the team and the overall average character. Not I don't want to say like that, but she was the best overall character for that season, all bias aside.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a shame she didn't get a chance to shout it's morphin time, because I think in the one episode where she does get a solar morph, which is my favorite, Plague of the Mantis, she doesn't even say it's morphin time. She just says, I better morph, and then morphs. And that's a shame. I feel like it's a shame that she didn't get a chance to come back before she unfortunately passed away. But,
yeah. I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this really hit home for me. I mean, it wasn't as a kid, but the cultural aspects, because I'm actually Vietnamese, and there's not a lot of
Vietnamese.
I am Vietnamese. Yeah,
I never knew you were Vietnamese.
I have a Chinese last name. Long story, but
I thought you were Chinese this whole time. I feel like you've been lying to me, Michael. This whole time I thought you were Chinese. I've known you 5 years, and this is the first time you told me you're Vietnamese.
It's a fake name. I'm kidding, but there's not a lot of Vietnamese representation in Hollywood, and it was crazy to see someone who looked like me on screen. I know this sounds incredibly cheesy, but I was
I understand you completely.
Yeah, and even though she was a Vietnamese actress playing a Taiwanese Chinese character, I always thought it was the coolest thing. And I don't know if they've had Vietnamese actors on Power Rangers since. And it's I know she was voted the best Yellow Ranger of all time, and they've done a lot of episodes dedicated to her. I think, what was it, Time Force?
Yeah, Time Force, Circuit Unsure was dedicated to her.
Mm-hmm. And then in the dark fan-made film was kind of based around her passing, because in the trailer, it's all the Power Rangers visiting her funeral. So it's really sad. It's really sad.
So Thomas says, I'm not sure if you heard this. Thomas says a fun fact: Trini was supposed to return in the passing of the torch turbos. I actually read about that. I heard about that, but I'm not sure entirely how true it is.
I heard about that too, along with Zach. But it's yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I saw it's. She deserved better. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, she did. She did.
So-
She definitely deserved better. And like I said, Plague of the Mantis is my favorite. There's a quote that she says I absolutely love. I'm not sure like if you've heard it, but that episode was about Rita trying to shame Trini because she was learning the praying mantis style of martial arts.
Mhm.
So like it's basically all about honors. So I like what she says, and I quote, I do have honor. I believe in fair play, but you're one of Rita's monsters. You can't be trusted, unquote. And I absolutely just love that. I love that, you know? So,
It's better than my favorite quote of all time, which was Power Rangers
what?
Turbo the movie. It's right after Jason gets brainwashed. He goes up against Tommy and he goes,
God.
now I have
God.
the muscles and the power. I was like, yes. Oh, Jason, yes. Best line ever. Now I have the muscles and the power. Beautiful.
Oh my God. All right. So I guess that would wrap up our discussion on Mighty Morphin.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's talk about what is your favorite episode overall from any season that you've seen, or it could be from Mighty Morphin or any of the seasons that you've seen. What is your favorite episode overall?
So this is going to be a fast one because we already talked about it. So the very first appearance of Tommy, which I think was Greenwood Evil. I mean, on Netflix, it's labeled as Green and Evil Part 1. That's my favorite because it's just the introduction of a new character, this genius plan from Rita, and it was kept very, very simple. I think Goldar was the big monster in the episode, and then just to see Green Ranger just go and thrash their headquarters, thrash all the Power Rangers, might have been one of the best plans of any season. Just, I'm going to create my own power. There have been evil Power Rangers before. I mean, Psycho Rangers, all that stuff. But, to see the first.
You mean after?
Yeah, after, of course. After. Yeah. Because they've had like mirror versions. They had like shadow versions. But this was the first time. I remember watching as a kid. I'm like, this is the best plan ever. Yes, create your own Ranger. And yes. I also think that was the start of a long-standing arc. This really goes into the Green Candle episode, and then
Rose said he liked that episode too.
Yeah, and then one of my other favorite episodes would probably have to be, I forget the name of it. It's the one where I think they kidnapped the parents, and they basically
Parents' Day, I believe.
Yeah, okay, that's like a close second or third for me. It's another genius plan by Rita. Go Rita, where she basically goes, I'm gonna put your brainwashed parents in the dark dimension. Hand over your coins, which they do, and they have to bring back Tommy, even though he lost his powers. And Zordon has.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Zordon has to use all of his, I think, energy to power up the coin again, and it's a great episode. I really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to talk about that. That Tommy really was losing his powers because in the Super Sentai, his Japanese counterpart Bora actually died.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
I did not. I didn't know that there was a Japanese counterpart. So bear in mind, I think the chat room's gonna thrash me, but I had no idea.
Oh my God, Michael!
I had no idea. No, because it was crazy. It really was. They used like 80% of the footage from the Japanese version, and the only version they
Shadow
recorded.
The Shadow Ranger says that episode was called "Return of an Old Friend."
Yeah.
Thomas Franco says Mutant Ranger episode in MMPR. And Rose Montana says, didn't they use the parents in the movie too? Yeah, they did. Ivan Ooze wanted to kidnap the parents so that he can work on whatever it is on his. Yeah. Thomas Franco said, I'm happy that Trini Legacy is still involved in the show with the Dino team up, Beast Morphers, and comics. Michael 101 says, remember that episode of Time Force was a tributary? Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. So my favorite episode. Oh, I actually have two favorites outside of Mighty Morphin. One of them is from Power Rangers Time Force. Actually, two of them from Power Rangers Time Force. Rancic Lives, which goes into his background story. If you've never seen Power Rangers Time Force, I highly suggest you do. It's a really good season, but Rancic Lives actually goes into his background, and we find out why he's evil. You know, it's a case of if honestly, okay, like if you've never seen Time Force, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But Time Force, I felt like deals with discrimination. The mutants in the year 3000 were discriminated against, and that Rancic lives goes into that background. Like it goes into his background as to why Rancic wants to take over and destroy the world. You know, humans outshunned him, so he wants to get back at them, basically. Money CR says, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen."
Hello.
Michael 101591 says, "I seen Jason David Frank's character Tommy in clips. He was all the talk of the MMPR series."
He was.
Yes.
I mean, he's the guy who's made the most reappearance in this whole series, right? I don't think no other actors
Yeah.
actually reappeared more than him.
Yeah. I believe he's like at over 200 something episodes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
I don't think any other actors had like a full recurring season, right? Because he came back in, you mentioned it, right? Dino Thunder, he came back?
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't think no other actors actually fully come back.
Jason
for
came
another
back in Zeo, but he wasn't there the whole season.
Yeah, as the Gold Ranger, yeah. And he recently came back, right? You saw it, right?
And then the Shadow Ranger says, but then later Jen says that people tried to help him. Yes, he did. He did try to help. People did try to help him. That was actually a really good episode. That's why I love that episode. Now, my second favorite episode from Power Rangers RPM, episode 11, Dr. K, which, if you've never watched RPM, another good season, I highly suggest you check it out. Sorry about that. So as we know, there's a computer virus called Venjix that's taking over the world. What we don't know is where this virus came from. And in episode 11, Dr. K, we find out that Dr. K herself created Venjix.
Oh no, on her birthday, right?
No, she created Venjix.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Vernon, Michael 101591 says Vernon Wells was awesome as Rancic. Yeah, so she created Venjix, and I can go into details as to how that episode is super relatable to what happened, what's going on today. You know, all she wanted to do was go outside. Imagine being locked up your whole life and being told that you can't go outside. So I feel like that episode's a little bit relatable, especially with everything that's, happened. But I don't want to get too detailed into that.
Sure.
Because that's a whole different story, and I don't want to get canceled. So, all right. So next, your favorite team up could be for any of the team ups that we've had.
Okay, so I mean, Forever Red. So I mean, it's the best team up ever to reunite so many Power Rangers, and this is, I think,
all of the Red Rangers up to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. The Red Rangers, and because they've tried to really mimic this, and they've tried to get back other Rangers, but it's generally they try to get back as many as they can, and the other Rangers just keep their helmet on. They try to edit it with the Japanese version. It is what it is. But yeah, it's the storyline's simple. I mean, what is it? The Machine Empire is trying to bring back Lord Zed's Serpentera Zord, which has always been known to be able to destroy planets. So they have to reunite all of the Red Rangers, and it's such a good episode. The storyline's good. You know, the fun fact that they reused the suits from the Beetleborg TV show. Watching it for the first time, I actually thought the Beetleborgs had turned bad. I don't know what happened. No, because I'm like, they reused the same suits from Beetleborg, and I'm like, why are they suddenly bad?
Yeah.
Are they under evil spell? The action was great. The morphing part is the best morph sequence of all time. I have it saved on my YouTube. It's such a great episode.
Fun fact, did you know Danny Slavin, who played Leo Corbett, the Red Galaxy Ranger, was actually not going to appear in this episode. That's why he shows up after all the Red Rangers, because I think his appearance was like a last minute decision, because by then he was a lawyer. Okay. He wanted nothing to do with Power Rangers, but he ended up appearing like last minute.
I did not. Was he the only one who didn't morph, right? The Alien Ranger? Because there was one
morphed, but he was already morphed.
Yeah, was that him?
I have to go back and rewatch Forever Red.
Okay.
But it was from what I read, it was supposed to be a 2-parter, but that didn't happen. It was just one.
I know. So one of the only Rangers who didn't come back was Rocky. Yeah, and I saw a video on YouTube.
Rose Montana said that his Forever Red too. Thomas Franco says power of 10. I think you mean to the 10th power from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy, not the power of 10. Yeah, I saw that. He was moving at the time. That's why he didn't appear.
They said that he was supposed to be in the episode, and he was actually supposed to play Tommy's butler. That's what he said, and I saw him on a video at a convention say that's what his role was going to be. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah. So, the Shadow Ranger says Leo morphs infrared. It was the Eating Ranger who doesn't morph.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Do you guys hear my dog crying in the background? No? Okay. That's good.
Oh, I can. Oh, poor dog.
Yeah. So give me a second. Just keep talking about Forever Red.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what I've said that hasn't been said. It's a good storyline, which should have been the movie. I mean, who here in the chat thinks that this should have been the movie other than the stupid Ivan Ooze movie that they ended up doing? It was a good storyline to reunite the Machine Empire and the reference that they were going to get Serpentera from Lord Zed. Great references.
I'm back.
They reunite all of the Rangers, and I love the part at the end where they're kind of like joking around on who the best Red Ranger of all time is. I mean, we know it's Jason, but you know, I like the ending.
People would disagree with you.
Yeah.
All right. So I was gonna move on to the next thing. I didn't even talk about my favorite team up. Actually, you forgot to mention there was another
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Shell Shocked from Power Rangers in Space. You said that was your second favorite team up.
I lied. It was a joke. So bad.
Oh my god. But when they did the movie, they didn't have 10 Red Rangers. Oh my bad, wrong comment. Is this one? And then Thomas Franco says Kat was supposed to come back as Tommy's wife in Forever Red. Yeah, I heard about that. And the Shadow Ranger says, I guess it could have been a made-for-TV movie. Yeah, that's true. Should have. And Steve Callahan agrees with you. Yep, Jason was the best Red Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite team up. I haven't even thought about this. I'm going to be biased here, and I'm going to pick Operation Overdrive, which was the 15th anniversary season, Once a Ranger. The reason why I picked that was because Operation Overdrive, yes, I know it was a super mega force of the day. That was the season that reintroduced me to Power Rangers back in 2007, and I thought it was a great team up. We got Adam coming back as the Black Ranger. We had we had Xander from Mystic Force, Bridge from SPD, Emma from Dino Thunder. We had, who else was there? Oh, Tori from Ninja Storm. So it was a really good team up. You know, it wasn't I guess I understand why people don't like it, because the Rangers, the current cast of Rangers quit after they felt that they were being replaced by the new cast. So I can understand why people don't like it, but I like it. And of course, we can't talk about team-ups without talking about the Power of Pink, where the Pink Galaxy Ranger, she became the first Power Ranger to die in the line of action when she sacrificed herself to save Cassie, the Pink Space Ranger, in Power Rangers Lost Galaxy.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so next thing. What is your favorite season or seasons of Power Rangers?
So I'm biased. Is this the same, what is the best, probably series, right?
No, your favorite season. It could be Mighty Morphin or any season that you've seen of Power
Gotcha.
Rangers.
So I have two answers. So honestly, real fast, biased, because it's the first one I ever saw, and I haven't seen a lot of the other seasons, but I had to go with Mighty Morphin.
Of course.
I saw the pilot yesterday. It doesn't stand up.
People are going to be throwing tomatoes at you and saying that there's other seasons aside from Mighty Morphin.
That's why I have two. I have a backup. So I rewatched the pilot yesterday. As an adult, it's not good. As a kid, it's great, but as an adult, it's not good.
Thomas Franco says Beast Morpher, Zeo, Dino Thunder, Time Force, in Space Lost Galaxy.
That's a good lineup. That's a very good lineup.
Definitely.
But if not Mighty Morphin, I'd probably have to say my other favorite scene would probably have to be Power Rangers RPM. The reason why,
Dino Thunder and MMPR. Okay.
The reason why I like RPM is I feel like if you want a Power Rangers that an adult could maybe watch with their kids, this is the best one to watch. It is the most grounded. It is the most Power Rangers is very cheesy and goofy and stuff. The dialogue and script in RPM is actually quite good. It's the most normal.
It's a tie between MMPR Season 1 and Time Force. Ooh, that's a good one.
And RPM is quite dark. I think it's the darkest season of Power Rangers they've ever done. So if you want a season of Power Rangers that you can watch with your kids that you will also enjoy, I think Power Rangers RPM is the best. So if I can't pick Mighty Morphin, I'm gonna go with RPM because I think it's the most, the most normal, if anything. It's the most non-kid. What about the Attitude Era? It doesn't get any better than RPM. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Steve Callahan says MMPR and Time Force.
A lot of people like Time Force. It is good.
Yeah, no. In Space, Time Force, and RPM are the 3 seasons that a lot of people like. I know recently Beast Morphers and Dino Fury are 2 seasons that people are actually enjoying. So. All right, so my favorite season, it's not a conventional favorite, but I like it. Power Rangers Zeo.
Okay.
NPR, RPM, amazing. Who thinks Alois is an idiot?
It's
Wow,
See, there we go. I'm glad someone's agreeing with me. No, like I said, it's
I think
the
a
most
lot of people
normal.
would agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, a fun fact about this is I believe RPM was the very last one on Disney before it went to Nickelodeon, and there was actually I think either 1 or 2 year hiatus because when they were transitioning studios, they didn't know where they were going to go. Ended up going to Nickelodeon, but the thing is, they thought since RPM was the last one on Disney, they thought this was it. And you'll hear this for a lot of different other seasons. When they feel like this is it, this is going to be the last season of Power Rangers ever.
They go all out.
They go all out. They go, yeah.
And Space was a huge example of that. Countdown to Destruction.
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite season, like I said, not a conventional favorite, is Zeo. I actually really like Zeo. I thought it was a nice little transitional season, for Mighty Morphin. Was Zeo perfect? No, it was not perfect. One of my 2 biggest pet peeves of Zeo was the treatment of Billy, like him basically getting written off halfway. But if you know the behind the scenes story, like David Yost is gay, and I heard that he was being treated unfairly due to that.
I heard that too.
So like I don't like that. I also, people are gonna throw stones at me, or eggs or tomatoes or eggs, whatever. I don't like how Tommy and Catherine's romance was totally rushed. I get it. Kimberly broke up with him. They needed a love interest replacement, but I just don't like how it was rushed. Honestly, I felt like they could have spent Zeo building up their romance and then have them get together at the end, which is my one of my favorite episodes in Zeo Good as Gold, episode 50. Rose Montana says Zeo is good. Emmanuel says Dino Fury, my first season. Whoa, this chat's so fun. Thank you. Oh my God, throwing a jab at Kat. She was his rebound. Oh my God.
Well, every once in a while, they like to throw some adult content in Power Rangers.
People are saying that Dino Fury is the last Power Rangers series ever due to the Toei Hasbro split. I'm not sure about that, but I've heard about that. But yeah, so that's definitely one of my favorite. And obviously, like I said, Operation Overdrive, definitely not another conventional favorite, but that was a season after so many years of not watching Power Rangers. 14-year-old me got back into Power Rangers because of Operation Overdrive. Was it the best season? No. Was it the greatest season? No. But I like it. I thought the concept of them searching for these jewels throughout various locations in the country was actually pretty cool and very ambitious. So that's why Zeo and Operation Overdrive are my 2 favorite seasons.
I will say this. Zeo is my favorite Power Rangers opening credits ever. The song is just so great. The credits so great.
Power Rangers go.
Yeah.
Zeo. How could you not like... My favorite theme songs. Oh, we should have talked about that. I'm going to add that on too. I'm going to add that on as a banner. I know it's a last minute favorite theme. Oh, my bad. Theme songs. Since we're talking about it. Favorite theme songs. For me, obviously Mighty Morphin. The extended version. Zeo. Turbo. I like the Turbo one. I like the Lost Galaxy. The Lightspeed Rescue, In Space, the extended version. I like Power Rangers RPM. I like the Dino Thunder.
You like all of them. Seems like you like all of them.
No, I like they have really good theme songs. You believe me? I can bust those and sing along. I don't care if I'm a terrible singer. I will sing along every time. So Emmanuel says Jason Cat is better to me. I like Tommy and Haley were perfect with Dino Thunder. The Shadow Ranger says Jungle Fury is a great theme. Unfortunately, I don't like the Jungle Fury theme. What about you? What's your favorite Power Rangers theme?
Oh, I told you, Zeo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So could be true since the Illuminati actually knows the folks from Hasbro and they could go animated new Hasbro movie for Power Rangers will be tied with the series. Oh, okay, cool. Shadow Ranger says Lost Galaxy is probably my favorite. Hell yeah, Lost Galaxy one. Especially if on YouTube, there's this one person that edited the Lost Galaxy theme and mixed it up with Star Wars. Like, hello, come on. Alrighty, so I guess the last thing on here that we can talk about is a favorite finale. What is your favorite finale of all the seasons of Power Rangers? What is your favorite finale?
Oh, I didn't know about this topic. You didn't tell me. So,
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe you can help me with it because I do have one, but I don't remember which season or what's the name of it. It's the one which by the way, so in real life they thought this was the end of the series, so they went all out for this season finale. It's the one where one of the Power Rangers runs into Zordon, and he has to destroy Zordon.
Oh, I did mention that earlier. Countdown to Destruction in space.
Okay, yeah. So that's my favorite finale, and because I just like the whole idea of all of the previous villains coming back to take over the world, and Zordon basically destroying him. And I like the part they gave very good closure. It was kind of cheesy, but it was kind of closure for all of the villains.
To countdown to Destruction.
Yeah. It was good. It was good.
Yes, so. I actually have two from Turbo, Chase into Space Parts 1 and 2. Like that Turbo finale, oh my god, like they lose everything. The command center, they lost their powers, they're beaten, knocked down. Oh my, like that hands down epic finale, like totally epic. What about you guys? What is your favorite finale? Thomas says Countdown to Destruction. Yeah. How could you not like the turbo finale? It like they're like practically the Rangers practically got beaten down, and they don't know what to do. They lost everything. No, I mean don't get me wrong. Up to that point, the Rangers have lost their Zords, have lost powers before, but not like this. They lost everything in the turbo finale. You know.
I remember being a kid, I forget which episode it is, when the Dragon Zords like were burning in a volcano or something. I actually cried as a kid.
The like, Shadow Ranger says, I feel like Countdown to Destruction is so great because you have 5 previous seasons to work with. Shadow Ranger says, Time Force fantastic finale. Yes, definitely. I was going to say that next. End of Time, the 3-parter. Fantastic finale. Like Rancid came so close to defeating the Time Force Rangers. The only reason he chose to surrender was because he injured Nadira, his daughter. And honestly, that finale, one of the best finales ever, if you ask me, in my opinion.
Also, I mean, I don't mean to go off topic, but I really like the character of Frax in that season. Oh my god, it was so sad. His story arc, honestly, it might be the saddest in my opinion of all Power Rangers. The fact that he was a good scientist, he helped was his name Rancic? Yeah. And then Rancic basically turns on him. He becomes a robot. And that touching scene where he's getting dragged away from Rancic's daughter.
In part two, where he's like, your heart is as cold as a mutant. Oh, I love that conversation.
Yeah.
He's like, break the cycle, Nadira. Break the cycle. Oh,
and he ends up getting getting brainwashed, right?
Yes,
So he forgets everything. So I really like the character of Frack. I know I went off topic. I'm sorry, but it's
okay.
Yeah, I saw that one scene where Frack is just basically screaming at Rancic's daughter. He says, "No, you don't have to hate." Yeah. He's getting dragged away to be brainwashed. Nadira. I know. Break the cycle. That's a go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. So definitely. You guys, if you have not watched Power Rangers Time Force, you are missing out. But yeah, I guess that's all the topics we had at hand. I think so. Now, kind of just to summarize before we wrap up, why do you think overall Power Rangers was so successful back then, and why do you think it's still been on the air for 28 long years?
I can tell you that honestly, outside of the show, since it's not unionized, it's a cheap show for them to put together. But the cultural impact is like, I said at the beginning of the show, there was really nothing like this. I mean, can you think of any other children's show that had martial arts and dinosaur robots? Yeah, exactly. So it was nothing like you've seen on television, and like I said, it inspired other shows like VR Troopers, Beetleborg, and Kamen Knight Rider, and it's something that kids like. My nephew, who was 6 years old, and Mighty Morphin is his favorite. He absolutely loves it because it's everything that a kid wants. Tons of toys, martial arts, dinosaur toys. It's the best. It's everything that a kid wants. It'll go on forever. It will be, unless you consider Simpsons a children's show, it might be the longest running children's show of all time.
Talk about the fan service though. Dang, some of those figures. Oh, we could have talked about that too. You're both getting the Dino Fury Zords, right? They're amazing. Yeah, definitely. I'll get them. We didn't talk about that. Which Power Ranger was your childhood crush?
So Kimberly, all bites aside, because I know Twee Trang was Vietnamese. Kimberly was my one of my celebrity crushes. It was her and what was it? Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell. So Tiffany Amber Thiessen, Amy Jo Johnson. Thank you.
For me, obviously, there's so many gorgeous men over the years that have that have donned the Power Rangers. So if I had to pick one. Oh
Jason.
My God. Yeah, Jason.
Hold
on. In terms of hotness, it's a tie between Jason and Tommy. I'm sorry, but the shirtless scenes, oh my God. Yeah. I'm so sorry, but yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Anywho. So Power Rangers has been on the air 28 years. Just like wrestling's been, WWE Raw has been on the air for 28 years. But that's a different discussion.
Don't remind me.
Here's a fun fact. To have a spoiler for Dino Fury, there are 2 surprise returns in Dino Fury. Oh, okay. Yes, but anywho, just to kind of like get ready to wrap things up. So today is National Power Rangers Day. We did celebrate 28 years of Power Rangers. What do you feel like Power Rangers changed your life in a way? I know it's silly as it sounds.
To be completely honest, I don't think Power Rangers, and I might get hate in the chat, I don't think it changed my life, but
or influenced your life.
It did. Okay, yeah, it did influence my life to see someone like Twee Trang be in a show like this. I'm like, hey, I'm Vietnamese. Maybe I can be an actor. Maybe I always want to be on Power Rangers. Can I just say I grew out of it? Obviously, maybe I can play a professor, but I always want to be like, one day I'm going to be on Power Rangers. All right, I can be on Power Rangers, right?
So aside from red, what color would you be?
So blue's my favorite color. So blue, probably.
I would be, aside from pink, I wouldn't mind being green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they had like a male be a Pink Ranger?
Not yet.
I'm surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised they haven't done that. But I think parents would complain because it's a kid's show. They're probably like, why is this person?
People complain about everything. Okay?
Yeah, they do.
People complain about everything, okay? Some Power Ranger fans complain about stuff just like wrestling fans complain. No one's ever satisfied or happy, honestly. Yeah. You give them what they want, they still complain. Mm-hmm. Honestly. Michael, my G. Emmanuel says, Michael, my G.
What up? No, this is great. You have good fans. I'm really digging this chat room.
Shout out to the chat room, Michael Chau. Thanks, you guys are great fans. So thank you guys all so much. You got any parting, anything you want to say? Any last thoughts about Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin? Anything as we get ready to wrap up?
Yeah, Power Ranger wise, I was very happy that they decided to do another live action movie. It wasn't it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the full potential it could have been. And from what I hear, they're not going to continue on with that movie. I think they're also gonna do something else. But Power Rangers has the potential to be something big. Why can't it be as big as these Marvel movies, right? If they do like a happy medium, not too kiddish, but kind of like in the middle, I don't see why it can't be as popular as something like Pacific Rim. If you've seen the Pacific Rim movies.
Nope, never seen Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Well, if you like Power Rangers, I think you'll like Pacific Rim. So I don't see why it can't be like something big like Pacific Rim or Transformers. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, they just do a normal like movie that everyone can like, kids and adults. Yeah.
See, here's the thing though. I feel like it's hard because the 2017 movie made a lot of references to various seasons of Power Rangers, and if you've never seen a season outside of Mighty Morphin, you didn't get it. Like, I bet you people were like, "What the fuck is a Zeo Crystal?" Like, if you saw Mighty Morphin, they talked about the Zeo Crystal. You saw Power Rangers Zeo. That was the whole gist of Power Rangers Zeo. You know, so and I feel like it's kind of hard to make a movie that you're gonna bring back people. I think that you want to make a movie that would appeal, like you said, to everybody and to not only the new generation, but of course the older generation of fans. You know, I'm gonna go watch it regardless. I'm gonna watch the movie regardless.
You can't make everyone happy. There's going to be there's going to be people who says this is too different from the source material, and you're going to have people who go like, this is as bad as the source material. You know what I mean? They want something different. What is something? Because Power Rangers seems to be the same. It's the same children's kind of corny dialogue.
I was gonna make
show,
a joke.
right?
I was gonna make a wrestling joke, but no, it's gonna.
Yeah, as much as we like to go back to the Attitude Era, it's not gonna happen, guys.
That wasn't what I was gonna reference. I was gonna use Roman Reigns' line on John Cena, but I don't think that would be appropriate right now.
I personally didn't like that line, but oh boy.
All right. So anything else you want to say? Like, you know.
Yeah, other than, well, first of all, Datila, thank you for having me on the show. This is the best show around. Please go check out Rangers of Wrestling. And you and I are talking about doing a future wrestling show. So that's in the mix. I don't know if anyone in your chat room currently likes pro wrestling, but yeah, you and I
actually, Jamil likes wrestling. Rose Montana, who was in here earlier, huge wrestling fan. The Almighty CR21's a wrestling fan. Danny Stanton, he watches wrestling. He doesn't watch it live, but he watches it. You know, the Swerve Show dog watches it. Yeah, so definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a great show. Thanks for having me on. If you guys want to check me out, yeah, you guys can check me out on my YouTube channel, MichaelChauTV. It's right here on the name tag. I do, once again, if you didn't hear me from the beginning, I do pop culture videos, everything from movie reviews, TV show reviews. I just recently did reactions. I did the Spider-Man reaction, which was really good. And I do video game stuff too. So come check it out.
Thomas Franco says he's also a wrestling fan.
Perfect. Come stop on by.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Rose Montana says, I'll check you out. So
thank you so much.
Thank everybody for tuning in and just listening to us discuss about Power Rangers. I definitely would love to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on Power Rangers. Like, what are your favorite seasons, episodes? Leave them down in the comments if you're rewatching this stream. But have a happy Power Rangers Day. May the power protect every one of you. And here's to many more years of Power Rangers. And we'll see you guys next time. I don't know, maybe Michael will join me for the wrestling side one day. Or another Power Rangers 3, maybe. We'll see. But please don't forget to like and subscribe. And make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live. Bye, you guys.
Mighty Morphin, Mighty Morphin, Mighty Morphin.
It's Morphin time.
Yeah.
I should have had the Mighty Morphin ready. I'm sorry. I apologize. I haven't had breakfast yet. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.